He said that someone started the fire and sprayed Biden 2020 BLM and an antifa symbol.
There's a message being sent, Ben, by the far left.
A man who claimed that he was attacked for being a Trump supporter actually lit his own camper on fire so he could cash in on insurance.
Well, I called it. A Minnesota Trump supporter who blamed Joe Biden-supporting BLM, antifa, anarchists for lighting his place on fire has now been charged after it was discovered that he lit the fire himself. Of course. So in this video, I will get to the incredible details of this story. I will get to an interview with him at the time that is just amazing. And I will get to what Fox News was saying at the time. And then I'll get to what I was saying at the time. All right, so let's first start with just the headline here from CBS at the time back in September 2020. Suspicious fire destroys Trump supporters' garage, truck, pro-Biden BLM graffiti left at the scene. Now, look, I'll get to more when I show you my commentary at the time, but pro-Biden BLM, already there, we got a problem. And then you add on top of that antifa, anarchists that are saying Biden 2020, like look at the graffiti. Biden 2020, BLM, and a very neat symbol that is supposed to be the anarchist symbol, an A with a circle perfectly around it. This was such obvious bullshit at the time. But that didn't stop the right wing and the Trump campaign at the time from running with this. And I'll get there. But first, let me show you an interview that he did with OAN that, of course, also covered this in a way that made it seem like, oh, the left definitely did this. But here he is at the time. This is the guy that did it, discussing how tragic this whole thing is.
The first thing that came to our mind was the Trump flag, the American flag. We had the American flag and Trump, and then another Trump flag here, and it's just, it's scary. It's scary to know that my beliefs has created such an anger and such evil to somebody to do something like this. Our family's safe. That's the main thing. All this is material. It's all material. Yeah. It's not as important as our family.
I can't believe I was targeted for my beliefs, for just being a Trump supporter, but my family's safe. All of this is just material. It's all material. It doesn't matter. What, how much did I make? Oh, $78,000. What a piece of garbage. The amount of bullshit, the extent this guy was willing to go to with this lie. And I'll get to even more details that are even more amazing in terms of what he was saying at the time. But look, he made $78,000 in this scheme, prosecutors said. He filed a claim for more than $300,000 with his insurance company and received $61,000 in payments, and he pocketed more than $17,000 from GoFundMe donors, court documents say. So it wasn't just insurance fraud. He stole money from people in his community that felt sorry for him, that wanted to help out. 17 grand. An absolutely disgusting individual. Now, he's been charged with 2 counts of wire fraud. And at the time, he told KARE 11 that he chased 3 people out of his yard on the night of the fire, and one of them had dropped a box of matches during the pursuit. When he returned home, he found his camper ablaze. Just so happens, I knew it was them because they dropped the matches while they were running. Just so happens, dropped the matches. It must have been them. I had the Trump flag. They spray painted Biden 2020, BLM, Antifa, and a perfect A with a circle around it. And on top of that, I'm also the good guy here because I saved 4 puppies from the garage. The amount of bullshit, the layers upon layers here. This is how, look, most liars, I would hope, for their sake, aren't this obvious. Like, if you're going to be making up a story like this, you're going to try to make it maybe a little more believable. But this is just like, this guy couldn't help himself. I saved the puppies. I found the matches. I chased the guys away. The place is ablaze after they spray painted Biden 2020, so it must be because I was a Trump supporter. Like, just a perfectly constructed story, which, of course, was the big giveaway to this being totally full of shit. So, as I said, he prosecutors say he staged the attack. So Denis Molla pocketed nearly $80,000 in insurance and GoFundMe donations after he claimed he was the victim of a politically motivated attack. And this is what Fox... Wait, before we get to Fox News. The Trump War Room, of course, at the time, grabbed this story, saying in Minnesota, a suspicious fire destroyed a freshly vandalized garage where Trump campaign flags were displayed. Also worth mentioning, like, if you're going to vandalize the garage, the assumption is you want that message to be seen, right? So why would you vandalize the garage just to burn it down minutes later? What's the point of vandalizing the garage with that message if no one's going to see it? But they ran with this story. Fresh spray paint on the garage read Biden 2020 BLM and an anarchist symbol. Ah, yes, we all know these things are all directly connected. Now, Fox at the time, Minnesota Trump supporters awakened to find their garage on fire. Biden 2020 graffiti. And of course, Laura Ingraham. So this is Laura Ingraham and Ben Shapiro at the time. Here is what they were saying.
He's made a bargain with the radicals in his own party, and they're going to eat him up.
There's a story out of Minnesota that began to get some traction today, and it was very disturbing. And this was a homeowners who woke up to find that their garage basically was on fire, had been burned down. They had a Trump flag or poster up, and had been burned. And then Biden 2020 graffiti and the antifa symbol. And this is Minnesota nice. There's a message being sent, Ben, by the far left, and I think people are beginning to see that arsonist behavior, looting, even murder, none of it's off the table.
Well, the fact is, again, generic statements about violence and looting being bad are not going to cut it. We all know that if this were right-wingers who were performing this kind of violence, Joe Biden would be out there on the front line.
Oh my goodness. I wish that video continued. That's where it ended, unfortunately, because if right-wingers committed this violence, this was just months before January 6th. And of course, these same people downplayed the violence at the Capitol. Absolutely amazing. Arson, even murder. Nothing's off the table with these people. The level of bullshit is just incredible. I mean, there are days I have a hard time getting out of bed sometimes because there is so much bullshit out there, and these people have massive platforms spreading their garbage to millions of people every goddamn day. And the lies are so obvious in most cases on their face. This was obvious at the time. As one person pointed out, the idea that this was done by anarchists that support Joe. These people don't exist. And look at the neat A here. This is the anarchist symbol. An A with a circle perfectly around it. Black Lives Matter. Well, why? Why would they randomly target this person's house? Methinks dumbass MAGA wanted insurance money. Definitely a possibility. How about that? Now look, I can't even take full credit because of how obvious this was at the time. So obvious that just random Twitter accounts were calling it out, saying that this is likely just insurance fraud. And that's what it was. But it did matter for the right. I'm going to show you in a second here a couple other examples that this is not just a one-off thing, but a pattern of behavior here. But for the right to claim look how dangerous the left is. First, it's arson. Murder isn't off the table. Yet, months later, they stormed the Capitol. And those same people defended that. Meanwhile, they have to pick up on fake stories because there are very few, if any, real stories like this about the left. So they have to pick up on these obvious fake ones to try and push their narrative about how dangerous the left is. But an example of this happening before, July 2017, Trump supporter arrested for playground vandalism in world's worst false flag operation. So this Trump supporter was caught on camera vandalizing the playground with threats to Trump and the phrase left is best, which did not exist. This is where this phrase came from, was this story. So if you ever heard left is best, this is the genesis of that phrase, because it's obviously a stupid thing to say, left is best, but that's where it came from. And Bernie Sanders 2020, because we all know Bernie supporters like to vandalize playgrounds. So that's another example of this kind of behavior. And another one, now to be fair, there isn't a follow-up to this. I've tried to find the follow-up, but come on. Apparently some far leftist Biden supporter, Pelosi lover, tweeted, spray painted, "Blacks rule" on this guy's property. Blacks rule. Yes, we all know the famous phrase heard down at the barbershop. Blacks rule. So stupid. So stupid. But this is what they have to do. And are you going to see Laura Ingraham? Are you going to see Ben Shapiro? Are you going to see OAN come out and apologize, correct the record on their misinformation? No, of course not. Yet they're going to continue pushing out propaganda. People are going to continue thinking that they are the honest ones, speaking truth to power. Meanwhile, they're out there pushing fake stories to help generate their bullshit narrative because they have nothing real to actually work with.